Hello, my name is Samantha Torres and I will talk about the most important Cold War's facts and events. The Cold War was between two world powers that rose after World War II. It started in 1947 when the Truman Doctrine was exposed by President of the United States, Harry S. Truman, basically saying that communism, the political system of the Soviet Union, needed to be stopped and was dangerous in some way, which could be considered the declaration of the Cold War. The war ended in 1991 when a coup in the USSR ends up dissolving the Soviet Union and the first elections are held. Between these two dates, there are many events that were basically a fight about weapons, ideologies, and political and economic systems. Before the considered declaration of war, after the Soviet Union made a bunch of countries next to her communist and rejected capitalism and democracy in 1945, the President of the United Kingdom, Winston Churchill, said in 1946 that an iron curtain was created between the West, capitalist, and East, communist. The world divided in two, making it a bipolar world. This led to the Truman Doctrine. After this, the Soviet Union and the United States were pretty much throwing hate to each other through some events. First, in 1948, the US sends economic support to West Europe to recover from World War II, which East Europe wanted to, and the Soviet Union didn't give. This was a win for the US. Later, the Berlin Wall is built in 1961 to stop people going from East Europe to West Europe. Win to the Soviet Union, I guess? Some conflicts occur in Israel, Korea, China, and Vietnam, between others, where there were always two sides, US and Soviet Union. In Israel, the US wins. Korea, they kinda both win. In China, after a civil war, communism won, point for them. In Vietnam, after many years, the communism wins, point. Communism is winning, huh? Well, these conflicts aren't even a small percentages of all of them, so I don't even know why I'm keeping track of this, but whatever. There was a called missile crisis in Cuba in 1962. Cuba is a whole another topic, but in summary, they hated capitalism too as the Soviet Union. They tried to unite with them, almost started a nuclear war but didn't, and then failed to attack the US. So win to capitalism. Slowly but firmly, new governors in the US and the Soviet Union were changing and making things a little bit looser. They started to get closer, things got easier. The Berlin Wall falls in 1989. The Soviet Union's governor was kind of soft, and a coup developed in his regime, destabilizing and eventually dissolving the proud USSR. Boom! Superpower punch. Capitalism wins. To understand a little bit more of all of this, we need to define the economic systems that were kind of the reason of this whole war. The US had capitalism proposed by Adam Smith. It is a system where people are private entities that own production and their labor, being able to trade, and the government does not own anything, and it's just there to make sure there's an efficient trade or free market. On the other side, the Soviet Union had socialism, proposed by Marx and Engels. This is a system where basically what I mentioned before is all owned by everyone. Although Marx, even himself, said it's just wanting to remove capitalism and go in the direction of communism, which happened in the Soviet Union, and governors ended up controlling everything. Also, it's important to know that this war is called the Cold War because even though there were some conflicts inside the war, neither the US nor the USSR ever attacked each other directly with weapons. However, I think the tension was very hot. It seemed that in any moment, that was it. Everyone was dead in a third world war with nuclear weaponry. Now, this is a little interview to know a little bit more about the war. First, What countries were the world leaders during this period?
The leaders were the US and the USSR, or Soviet Union, whatever you want to call it.
Why did countries who were allies during the wars become enemies afterwards?
Because their ideologies were different, and in the other side, the US wanted capitalism and democracy, and the USSR wanted socialism and communism.
Where did the Cold War take place?
All over the world, there were conflicts related to this rivalry between the two world leaders.
What opinion did the general public have of the Cold War?
They were kind of tired of it. They just didn't care. They want to be together, and the war wouldn't let them. They want jobs and stability, that's all we want.
What type of weapons did the two world powers have at their disposal?
They had too many weapons, but the most important were nuclear weapons. If some of the countries decide to attack, the two leaders and maybe the world would have been destroyed.
Thank you so much. And well, this is it. This was the Cold War.